Hi there. Okay, so this is not a very long lecture or anything. It's quite a short and sharp lecture. But before we get into the lecture, I wanted to speak to you about a few things to do with the coursework, okay? And a few questions have been asked, and pretty similar questions by quite a few of you. And I've answered them. But I think it's best if everybody kind of has the same information. And I might also put it out on an email so that everybody's aware. We know that the coursework is only kind of short. It's only 1,500 words. And like I said in the outline, everything is included in that word count. Now, I would suggest to you that given there are just 5 straight questions, no need to do a contents page and stuff like that. We have, exec summary and the first question, second question, whatever, conclusion, appendices, references, whatever. You don't need to do that. Obviously, you have to give the references and stuff, but no need to do a contents page. Not to worry about if you want to give, figures or graphs or something like that. The words that are, at the words which are where you give the source or the captions that go for the diagrams and figures will not be in the word count either. So feel free to do that. In terms of the theories and stuff, I'm obviously expecting you to be able to utilize stuff that we have used over the lectures in terms of explaining certain things and from the reading that you have been exposed to through your TALIS reading list. Also, I think there was a very good question some of you have asked about introduction as to whether you need to, obviously you're doing an exec summary, as to whether you need to do an introduction on top of that. What I would say to you is do not do an introduction, because 1,500 words, you need to be as good as possible, as solid as possible, as succinct as possible with those 1,500 words. And try also to be able to answer each of the questions as well as you can, and not think that I will answer one particular one really well and not the others and stuff like that. So try and adjust and balance it that way, okay? And the exact summary from the group coursework that you've done, I've noticed that many of you actually, even in the group coursework you submitted, you had the exact summary in half a page and then you started the introduction on the same page itself. And that is not a very good way of presenting, okay? Always have the exact summary on a page, give it its presence, and then start off from the next page in terms of the rest of it, okay? So these are the few things I wanted to tell you. And while I'm on the subject of the individual coursework, do you have any questions that you might want to ask or any clarification that you might want to have? You can put it on the chat now, okay? Because it will be helpful for yourself, it will be helpful for everybody else too. All right. Apart from that, I would say this should be quite a straightforward coursework, actually, because in everything that we have done, in everything from lecture 1, we have been talking on each of the topics of retailing. We have been keeping the environment in mind. The environment is so solidly influenced by COVID. And as we all know, you talk of supply chain, you talk of marketing, you talk of the product assortments, you talk of what's happening, you talk of what's happening right now. It's all to do with COVID and the impact it has, in terms of the economy, in terms of retail, in terms of jobs, in terms of everything. Okay. Send the requirement. What do you mean by that? What do you mean, Gutong? Can you please send the requirement to the Blackboard? Your Blackboard already has the outline and everything. So I don't know what you mean by the requirement. Clarify, please. Okay, so the outline is on Blackboard. Yes, so your question, Mai, yes. All the words that inside the figure or illustration, as well as the figure name, will not be included to the word count. Correct. Also, I wanted to add as well that of course you have a 10% allowance, okay? So just like in the group coursework, you had a 10% allowance of exceeding the number of words, you still have that in here, okay? Yes, it is in the assessment briefs. Yeah, thank you, Huong, for clarifying that as well. Thank you. And no problem, mine. Okay, so now let's get on with the lecture of retail micro marketing, okay? But if some questions come to your mind, even while we are in the lecture itself regarding the coursework, please feel free to put it on the chat and I will look it up. No, I just mentioned Guitong. You don't need to do an introduction for this coursework, okay? And I will put all this also in an email, what I've just mentioned. No need to do an introduction. You're going to have the exact summary. After the exact summary, go straight into the questions, okay? Good. Okay, right. So let's get on to this one. It's only a short lecture. Right. So as always, we have an outline. What is the outline telling you? So basically, it's about retailers understanding consumers, right? Then applying retail psychology, about segmenting consumers, about discriminatory pricing practices, other discriminatory micro-marketing practices, and self-targeting techniques as to how retailers utilize all of these things to get a share of our pocket, get a share of our wallets. Okay? So the purpose is to show how retailers use and can use micro-marketing to boost sales and profits by tailoring their products, tailoring their pricing, tailoring their services and in-store offers to appeal to different consumers in different ways. Oh, and now I'm going to, of course, switch off my video. Right. So let's get into, and these are just questions, not necessarily for discussion, but it's kind of worthwhile asking ourselves. And why do we go shopping? Is it for necessity, entertainment, or socializing? So if I were to ask these questions of you, just put your thoughts down on the chat. Of course, we go for necessity. I need to go and have some stuff. If you're out, you need to go and have some lunch. You need to go and buy lunch. You go for entertainment. You go for socializing. How do you decide which shops to visit? Now, if I were to ask you this question, how do you decide which shops to visit? What are the key criteria on which you make your decision? Can some of you put your thoughts down on the chat? Do you tend to plan your purchases in advance of your shopping trip or buy on impulse? How do you control your urge to make impulse purchases? And I would like to add a further question to this third question. What do you think is going to happen now that inflation is near 6% and the expectation is by the end of the year, inflation is going to be about 10%. So when inflation is so high, people are feeling the pinch in their pockets. Do you think impulse purchases are still going to carry on with people just the same? If not, how is it going to be influenced? What would you say? Right. In terms of which shops do you visit and what is the key criteria, Eddie says, key criteria for me is if I know there is a sale on, an offer on for something I want or need. That's a good one. That's a good one. So in some ways, I want or need. Now there are two different things, isn't it? Need is need and want is, oh, okay, I want that, but it doesn't matter. What do you think is going to happen with the wants, for instance? You know, wants can be impulses sometimes, isn't it? Oh, I want this today, or I want this now, and therefore I just buy it because I'm in a shop. Do you think this impulse purchases of wants is going to be affected currently and in going forward for the next year or so? Because we don't really know how far this inflation thing is going to drag on and how far it is going to reach. Hopefully not too bad, but we don't know. Come autumn, energy prices are also going up. So, you know, in every which way, although interest rate has gone up, the Bank of England raised it, as you know, now it's 1% interest rate. So in every which way you look, people's wallets are getting seriously affected. Do you ever haggle on prices to get the best possible deal? What is the biggest discount you've ever negotiated? Tell me about this. How many of you actually haggle on prices? Necessity is the primary reason, obviously, but entertainment and socializing could be the secondary reasons. Yes, secondary, tertiary, it could be a lot of different reasons. In terms of haggling, do you think in the current climate, haggling might increase? Do you think haggling, for instance, could lead to discrimination of pricing? This is a good answer, Eddie. Haggle when I'm on holiday, but not here. Managed to get 20 euros off a gondola ride. That's not bad, not bad at all. It is indeed something that people do when they go on holiday. That is haggling. I think somewhere in this lecture, I have a video, and I would suggest to you, please look it up, about how you should also haggle here in the UK. Okay? And many people who come from abroad, for instance, believe that in the UK haggling doesn't happen. But actually, in reality, haggling happens in the UK. Haggling happens in every kind of retail situation, in fact. And I have a feeling with the current climate, with inflation as is, that there are people who are going to haggle more than ever before. Okay? Haggling starts, or rather, let's not use the word haggle. It kind of sounds like a bit negotiation, right? Negotiations happen even in jewelry stores here in the UK, which is something I haven't seen, for instance, where I come from, which is India. In India, in jewelry shops, at least in big jewelry shops, I have never noticed anybody negotiating prices really. But here it does happen. And in fact, even in hotels and stuff, you can negotiate prices. You can negotiate prices on lots and lots of different things. On insurance, for instance, they give you an insurance, you just don't accept it. You may want to negotiate with them. So Daisy says, I haggle if I buy resold things like on Depop, eBay, or car boot sales. Good, very good for you. Yes, negotiate, haggle, whatever it takes. If, the worst that anybody can do, this is the interesting thing to always remember, okay? Never feel, and I'm lecturing you guys, but I'm not very good at haggling or anything, by the way. So I kind of, tell you beforehand, I'm clean, as they say. But at the end of the day, what is it about haggling? At the end of the day, people can only tell you no, right? The worst they can do is say no. But if they say yes, you stand to benefit. Like you got a 20 euro off your gondola ride, Eddie. So yeah, going forward, and you guys are students, okay? I'm not expecting you to be really, really, uh, uh, having loads and loads of money in your pockets, because it would be unnatural to be kind of have so much. But if you do, I'm delighted for you. So you will need to keep your things going proper in terms of your finances. So if you can haggle somewhere, do so, I would say. So in terms of understanding consumers, retailers really need to understand consumers. And there's so many things about consumers, right? It's about our lifestyles. Where are we in the position in our lives? What age are we? What demographics, what is our social position? What are our economic possibilities and conditions and stuff like that? What are the needs and desires of individuals? Yeah, shopping attitudes and behavior. So, are these people, for instance, who really don't care much and just go and pay a price and be done with it? Yeah. Environmental factors, retailer actions, all of these things influence shopper behavior. It makes us tick or it puts us off. Like often we have talked about in the past about the ambience of a store or how it, the cleanliness of stores or how TK Maxx used to be once upon a time, how it has improved now, the white shop, this, that, and the other, right? There are shops that attract us to go in there and shop, make those impulse purchases, and there are shops that put us off. Even when I know I need that thing from maybe a particular shop, I kind of go to the shop, it puts me off, I come out. Even the need I have not met because I just didn't feel like shopping in that store at that precise point in time. So there are lots and lots of things that make shoppers tick, okay? And it's well worth knowing that. Now, the motives for shopping, of course, like you just said, Asik said here as well, necessity is the primary reason, obviously. Yes. Why do people shop? Serving consumer needs. There can be so many different needs. We have social needs, symbolic, hedonic, cognitive, experiential, so many different things. We go on a holiday. A holiday is kind of a hedonic need. It's kind of you pay for it, you go for it, you enjoy it, done. Right? That's finished. That consumer need is taken care of, is a hedonic need. Social needs, we go shopping for being with friends, personal motives for shopping, role playing, diversion, self gratification, learning about new trends. We go into Apple because we heard that a new product has come into the market and we want to go and check it out. We may not be buying it, we may not need it, we may not even want it, but we may want to go and check it out. You will find people in Chantry Place and other places going shopping. They're going around different stores and looking at things and stuff like that, but they're not really shopping, as in they're not really parting with their money, but they are shopping because it's a personal need. It's a kind of a diversion. Sometimes, we talk about retail therapy. Primarily, women talk about retail therapy. Oh, I need some retail therapy or whatever. The retail therapy may not necessarily entail only buying and spending lots of money. It can also be that you just want to be out there, just have a diversion, distract yourself. There's so many different things like that, okay? And the social motives for shopping, social interaction. Many a time, you guys, I'm sure, go out as a group of friends, right? You go out as a group of friends. Like today is such a beautiful day. In fact, today is the first day this year that I felt that it's kind of warm outside. It's very, very pleasant. Social interaction. So today could be a wonderful day, although unfortunately my lecture is right in the middle of the day, which affects you guys going out, but you can go after this. So social interaction, communication, peer group attraction. You guys might meet up and go out. You might just walk on to the city center or take a bus or whatever you do and have a great time there. Go to the market, have some late lunch, go to the movies, go and do some shopping. Although in the UK, shopping might become a problem because they close stores by about whatever time, 5:36 in some cases, right? So there's a lot of different things. And maybe sometimes actually this might be a good opportunity. There are certain little shops in the market in Norwich, and little what do you call them, by the church. There's little costume jewelry stores and stuff like that. You might want to go there. How about haggling there? Why not go to the St. Andrew's Church or something where they do sell some antique stuff? Go and haggle there. Haggle just for the sake of it. Just have some fun. So check it out. Check out as to how good you are at these kind of things. So there are different things, motives for shopping. We shop for a shed load of different reasons. And actually talking to you about these things right now is making me feel like going shopping myself, because it has been a while since I actually did any shopping physically. I do a lot of internet shopping, but physical shopping, I have um, kind of forgotten, I think. Store choice. What makes us go? What are the store attributes that are an attraction? Prices, of course, convenience, facilities, product range, product quality, service, ambience, opening hours, etc. Now, opening hours is something in the UK, I think they fall very short of being attractive. And I hope in time they will understand that retail would greatly benefit, and our high streets would greatly benefit by keeping stores open for much longer in the day, and maybe even close it for an hour or two at lunchtime, like all of continental Europe does, or all of the rest of the world does. I mean, this shopping, shops closing so early is an absolute disaster for retail. And so service, ambience, we all like to go into a store that looks good, that smells good, where things, you have open spaces to walk, and things are laid out beautifully. Prices seem to be good too. You want pretty much everything when you go out shopping, right? You want them to make you feel really, really good. And then you actually quite easily part with your money too. And that is why good departmental stores actually make you part with your money much easier. You kind of buy things you have never thought of buying just because it has been laid out so well. It's all beautifully laid out, it's smelling good, and there are lots of people around, milling about, and it is a nice atmosphere, So those are the things that a retailer needs to create in the store to get our attention, to get our money. Now, these are the attributes, these are the positive things that make us actually go to a store and part with their money. But what are the things that act as a deterrent? What are the things that actually prevent us from going shopping? Yeah, money, of course. Now, as you would have heard, in the month of March, February, March, early April, actually February, March, retail was doing quite well. High streets were doing quite well. Footfall was quite high, but we've already started feeling the pinch, and retail is down now already. And people are being very careful about spending money. They are not feeling very secure. People are not feeling secure about their finances. People are not feeling secure about how they're going to meet. Many people live on certain on budgets and stuff like that, and your budgets are getting terribly squeezed because energy is taking much of your budget away. So all the discretionary things that you possibly did before, you are stopping. In fact, you've heard about Netflix as well. The subscription has gone down kind of significantly, and as you know, share prices and everything else, the value of Netflix has gone down significantly, based upon which they even cut off Meghan Markle's, Pearl, the series that she was going to do for the 12-year-old girl, blah, blah, blah. So this kind of effect is like a domino effect. And it is a deterrent. Not having money is a deterrent. But even then, people might still do it for social reasons. People might still want to go out with friends, maybe have just a drink and not really do the shopping, but just spend the time mooching about, distracting yourself and all the rest of it. Hope for a discount sometimes that you would have bought at a price before, at whatever price it was being sold. Now you're waiting for a severe discount to be able to buy it, that kind of stuff. The time required. Many of us don't go shopping because of the time, the effort, and all of that. And of course, I personally think for those of us who drive and like to park up and go into a store, I think it is a very big deterrent. Um, at the moment, you may not feel that as a student, but as you grew, as over time, you will find that you like to go shopping to places where you can just park a car, go buy the stuff, and get into the car, right? Like what Norwich is doing right now. Not what Norwich is doing in terms of pedestrianizing everything is actually a deterrent. It is a deterrent for many people. I'm not the only one. I know several people, several of my friends who find it an absolute pain in the neck to go into Norwich when you have to just park your car some miles away and then all of that, and every parking is full all the time. So those kind of things. So in terms of time, effort, stress, risk, many a time we know that elderly people in certain towns, Norwich is actually a very safe city, in certain towns are afraid to go into the high street. Why are they afraid to go in the high street? Because they are physically afraid to go to the high streets. The shopping becomes, the pubs, the pawn shops, all the different things that happen. Sometimes pubs and things and homeless people and other things can frighten elderly people, and they feel physically quite scared. And that can also act as a deterrent. Therefore, it's also important for retailers to keep their surrounding areas working well. Now, in the case of malls, in the case of like Chantry Place and Castle Mall is not a nice mall at all, but Chantry Place is nice. Chantry Place and stuff, even an elderly person can actually feel quite safe and secure because you don't see any unwanted, there are no unwanted, I don't want to say a word that I would be regretting, but unwanted uh, environment, sort of, okay? You don't see things you don't want to see. You don't see people who might be uncomfortable for you or anything of that sort of stuff. So even an elderly person can go into a mall and can feel safe, but they don't feel as safe in high streets. I haven't heard such cases here in Norwich, but I have heard of those in certain other towns in northern cities. So yeah. Now the key factors. What are the key factors? For instance, in main supermarket choice, why do you go to, if you're going to do a big shop and you go to your main shopping you're doing in a supermarket, what are the main things you're looking for? A Nielsen home scan shows this. Good value for money is number one in terms of which factors people consider the two most important when choosing where to do your main shopping. So good value for money and good quality fresh produce. Okay, and then it comes good range of products, convenient location, low prices, all of these, and then it goes down. Now, in terms of, this is for your main shopping, your large shopping, so to speak. But when you do top-up shopping, it kind of changes a little bit. The two most important factors when choosing where to do your top-up shopping So your top-up shopping means something like you have, you need your milk, you need your, say, bread, eggs, butter, noodles, whatever it may be, just the few things that you have to have fresh, or fruits, for instance, right? Fruits, you cannot be shopping for your fruits for a whole 10 days or whatever. You need to kind of top it up on a continuous basis. So in that case, convenient location becomes number one and good value for money, number two. So you see how convenient location, kind of over for your main shopping, that wasn't a big criteria. It was like number four. But for your top-up shopping, it becomes number one. So you want it to be really close by. You want to be just able to go and get stuff. Yeah. So things switch in terms of what are the most important factors when you go shopping and stuff like that. Now, in terms of applying retail psychology, how can retailers use their understanding of consumer behavior to boost sales and profits? Now we're going to answer each of these questions, okay? How can retailers encourage store loyalty? How can retailers encourage existing customers to buy more? How can retailers reduce consumers' sensitivity over prices? So we will answer each of these questions in turn as we go through the lecture. Encouraging store loyalty. Obviously, they can measure this by what? Switching ratio, patronage ratio, budget ratio, in terms of respectively how much of the share of my wallet, of your wallet, is they are getting themselves. Degree of switching across retailers and proportion of retailers patronized out of total available. So in terms of consumer types, say all of you, all 42 of us here right now, many of us are loyal shoppers. Some of us are switchers, some of us are habitual variety seekers, or some of us are cherry pickers. Okay? Loyalty programs, loyalty cards, and reward vouchers. Now, retailers would want us to be loyal, right? You will have heard this before, that 80% of the profit that a retailer makes is out of 20% of their customers. So in other words, there are 20% of customers that retailers have who are absolutely loyal, and they need to be kept, kind of loyal. And many of us stay loyal to certain retailers, not because we love the retailer, no, because switching costs can be a pain. You go to a particular supermarket or whatever it is, I'm talking of that, or you go to House of Fraser or whatever, you get used to the store layout, you get used to certain things, you know the kind of products, you know the kind of quality, and you kind of get used to it, and you kind of don't go to other retailers, you don't really see the price differentials and stuff like that. In a way, loyal shoppers can also be lazy shoppers sometimes, and the loyalty programs, they kind of keep you loyal too in terms of your loyalty cards. Like Tesco keeps people loyal because of the Tesco Club Card. And the Tesco Club Card is actually one of the first club cards that came into effect in this country. And actually, it is considered by consumers as a very good card. Relationship marketing, database, direct marketing, building retailer customer relationships. Now they have so much information on each of us, particularly through the loyalty cards, that they can actually send you vouchers. They can send you vouchers for things that you tend to buy the most. They can focus on the most valuable customers by giving them more opportunities to spend and save. And so there are lots of things that retailers can do to encourage store loyalty, okay? Encouraging more spending. So the one thing is about keeping us loyal. The other thing is about encouraging more spending. Value assurance, making us believe. It is important to make us believe. And in fact, this is going to become even more so important now when inflation is hitting its highest that we have ever faced in a prolonged period of time, in decades. And, people are going to feel the pinch in every which way. And price cuts, loss leaders, consistent low prices, in-store value signage, all of those things will take, will get a life of their own now. Just watch the space, okay? What do supermarkets do? What do other retailers do as well? Even clothing retailers, what do they do? How are they promoting? They will be promoting with a different color and feel to their promotion, which is going to encourage us and tell us that trust us, we're cutting prices, trust us, but they trust us for that. They're going to sell things as loss leaders. They might sell the banana, the broccoli, the whatever, or a store might sell, undergarments or whatever else it is as loss leaders in some ways. So you go there, they will give it to you at a lower price, but in the process, you're buying other things and they're making up for their loss leaders. Okay. Product mix, wide range of complementary goods for one-stop shopping. So by having complementary goods out there, by having a good product mix, retailers benefit because you will be buying all these different complementary products. They want to encourage us to spend more and more time in retail outlets. And that is why many of these big stores that have been, left vacant, when the high street was losing so many big stores, chain stores, that they were considering, in fact, if any of the stores came in there, that there would be an element of retailtainment. Now, I think retailtainment is something that I have found quite good at Gerald's. Okay, when you go at certain times of the year, they do set up, like, I don't know how many of you have been during Christmas and stuff, before Christmas and stuff. They will get people to come there, they will have live music there. They will encourage people to just, browse, go around the place, give it an atmosphere of entertainment. So that entertainment is called retailtainment. Okay, retailtainment. For in-store demonstrations, you'll often find in John Lewis stores, in-store demonstration. They get some new products out there, they demonstrate it, they get people, they promote it beforehand, they get people to come and enjoy that, and all of those things. So by encouraging us more and more, spend more time, making us enjoy it, feeling the vibe, feeling the atmosphere, makes us spend more and more with them. So they will have to work a little bit harder now to get our money. Upselling and cross-selling techniques offer add-ons, extra services, enhanced features, extended warranties. And I would look this up, okay? Have a look at this one, upsizing food and drinks. And you also know about things like, for instance, the meal deal. The meal deal is add-ons and stuff, isn't it? You buy this, then you get this free. And sometimes you have, you find in co-op and stuff, 5 items for £5. And you think, what is that for? But it is an absolute loss leader for co-op, where they will sell 5 different things. And in fact, if you were to buy each one of them individually, you might be paying more than £12, £13, but you're getting all of that for £5. So those are loss leaders. Okay, but when you buy those kind of things, what happens is you actually get motivated to buy other things because you feel, this is a good price. This is such a good price. Wow, what a superstore. That kind of thing. Now, reducing consumers' price sensitivity. Now, retailers always think about that, about reducing our price sensitivity. However, now this is going to become particularly important in the current climate. Product positioning and displays, separating high-low price substitutes, the way they present products, the way they label products, the way they use their packaging, value for money image, cheap own label products, promotional offers, price comparisons with rival stores, etc. So they reduce our price sensitivity by making it, moral of the story is one word, making it more complicated. They make the whole thing more complicated for us as consumers. We are unable to. In fact, if you guys have some time, go and look up Super Shoppers. Super Shoppers with Anne Richardson. This series came about in 2018 and 2019. And I feature in 5 of their episodes in that. It was on ITV. And making complicated is an interesting one. Say, for instance, you go to buy chocolates, okay? You go to buy chocolates and you are like, you think, and not everybody's brain works like a calculator. And we don't carry calculators to buy little things like whatever, chocolates or whatever. You just want to go and pick it up, right? But how can you pick it up and understand the unit pricing for chocolates, for instance? You go to buy a Whisper bar, for instance, Whisper. Any of you possibly like Whisper bar? You buy a Whisper bar, there's one big Whisper bar, or think about Kit Kats. You have a Kit Kat, a giant Kit Kat, or you have 2 strip Kit Kats, or whatever you call them. And then you have the 4 ones, and then you have the smaller ones, and then you have a pack of 5 of those with 2 bits to it. So how do you understand the pricing? And they're packaged, beautifully. They're put in different sizes, one beside the other. They're put in different prices, and you might find one says that price, one says that price. And by the time you even think about how to go about it, you just say, you know what, forget it. I'll just buy the one I want. So the product presentation, positioning, the complicated way they do the unit pricing and all of that, it just makes it very difficult. It makes our price sensitivity decrease. That is the thing. Your price sensitivity lowers itself. I don't become, I can't be bothered. I'll just go and buy it. Your price sensitivity might not be quite so, you may not be quite so casual. For instance, if say you're buying a product which is very expensive, then you would literally kind of check it out, you maybe calculate it and all the rest of it. But for little items in supermarkets and stuff, why do you think they make this much profit when we seem to be buying whatever we're buying? Because we're not buying, we're irrational. Sometimes we're irrational buyers. I myself, I'm a seriously irrational buyer. I understand all these things, what they're doing, but I can't be bothered. I say, oh God, I can't be asked, So that kind of thing. Psychological pricing, again, is another thing. Standard or odd price ends, the 99 pricing, 77 pricing, all that kind of pricing. Why do they do that? Again, it's psychological pricing. We barely ever look at that end. Okay, when we're looking at 99.99, I mean, it's actually 100, right? But we don't look at that. We just look at the 99 on the left-hand side and we think, oh, okay, it's 99 pounds. I mean, what is it? Our brains are wired in such a way that that is an advantage that they can take. But you might have noticed the round pound deals have become more common now, which is good. Price clustering of products with similar quality, discrete price steps in line with quality. Now, supermarkets are extremely agile in this, discrete price steps in line with quality. We talked about it yesterday, partnership, a power struggle. And we talked about how when brand manufacturers come up with a brand, okay, say a brand of, say, we'll give it, say even a chocolate with nuts, okay, whatever. So Lindt comes up with a chocolate with hazelnuts or something, okay, and they tell the supermarkets, this is what we're coming up, this is the shelf space we need, this is coming up in say 7-8 months, whatever. What do? As a retailer, you think, oh, okay, that'll be priced at that level, right? Why not we go ahead and we do 3 layers, okay? So they do the three sets of products with slightly perhaps less, in terms of the ingredients in it. They of course can switch and change and stuff like that and price it at 3 different levels. So these discrete price steps in line with quality is psychological pricing, where they will position it in such a way that you are kind of inclined perhaps to go to the top one or the middle one, but not the lowest one. Okay, so there are lots and lots of different ways that they can actually use discrete lines, price lining based on quality, the 9N pricing, the price clustering of products. By price clustering of products, they, in a way, they kind of confuse us and we don't know how to go about it. Why do retailers set 99 price endings? Have a look at this too. So reducing consumers' price sensitivity, how do they do this? Okay, examples of retailer practices and effects on price sensitivity. So this reference price, I'm not going to go through each one of them because yeah, it's a bit slow. Reference price effect, place similar items side by side and keep prices broadly consistent over time. Okay, framing effect, express prices as discounts off the usual higher price. Now we love this. Like Eddie, you said haggle, or rather, no, where did you? I think you said something before, didn't you? That when there's a discount, you like to go shopping, right? You like to go and buy those things. Framing effect, because we like this. Discounts off the usual higher price. How do we know this? How do we know that this framing effect is a true framing effect? How long did they keep this product at that price? They're supposed to keep products for 28 days before they put it on discount, and then you can't put it on discount for longer than you had it for its usual price. But all these things are becoming very fluid right now. No one really knows. You find in some certain stores, furniture stores, you find they're always on discount. They're always on discount. How is it possible to be always on discount? What was the actual price? The actual price was just a made up price, was it? So that kind of stuff. Look up fairness effect, expenditure effect, price quality effect. So quite a few different things. Okay, I think it's important that you kind of look up these things, look at the examples, and kind of remember it, because it's very interesting. Anyway, applying retail psychology, tricks retailers can play on consumers. Consumers do not always make fully informed purchase decisions. We don't. We're irrational. We just go, we may think, oh, on impulse, we might buy things. On impulse, we might buy very big things too. Retailers might be tempted to exploit ill-informed or non-rational consumers with misleading offers. Misleading offers is something that retailers get, called up for quite a few times, and somehow they tend to get away with it. And in terms of, I showed you in one of our early lectures this thing about how they, how they exploit us by means of discounting things when actually they haven't discounted. In fact, the price has actually gone up, but the promo shows that it has gone down, etc., etc. And each of these things, when they mislead us or whatever, and they say, oh, sorry, it wasn't meant to be misleading, or oh, sorry, it was actually an honest mistake and stuff. Each of those things allow retailers to make millions and millions and millions of profit each week. And there is a case of strawberries in one of the earlier lectures of how this misleading promo resulted in retailers making some 4 or 5 million profits per day. Because think about it, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stores. And if each store is doing the same thing and all of us are buying, imagine how much money they're making. Poor value economy packs and multi-buy offers, charging more for less when consumers do not carefully compare offers. This I have seen myself with my own eyes, where 2 small boxes of raspberries to 1 big box of raspberries, and you think, oh, well, the 2 small would be better, all of that, but actually it's the other way around. So these are the tricks they play on us, and we kind of fall prey to it. Those of us who are not very, what is the word I want to say? Not rational. We're not irrational when we're not looking at that. We're just being a bit, what is the word? Would you say? You're just rushing. You're just rushing through things. You're just rushing in a supermarket and rushing out. And every rushing behavior you have in shopping perhaps is costing you quite a few pretty pennies. And don't forget, it's the pennies that make the pounds at the end of the day. Segmenting consumers. Which consumers are most attracted to the retailer? How straightforward? What basis? Which basis? Let's answer each of them in turn too. Basis of segmentation. What are the bases of segmentation? How do they, segment us? Demographic, of course, age, gender, occupation, income, geographic, behavioral, psychographic. What are our lifestyles? What is the frequency? Are we loyal to the retailer? Where are we? Where do we live? So there are different things. Like I mentioned to you before, how the way Zara positions its products, that sometimes, I find Zara's stores in certain places do not have its most fashionable things. And sometimes it's because retailers position their products, put their products in places depending on what they think that particular place demands more of or wants more of. Okay, and you find that its flagship stores will have all the very fashionable things. And even if you go to certain other places in continental Europe, which may not be that big a city or something, you find very fashionable products, because probably that particular area, because of its demographics, because of its lifestyles and fashion consciousness or whatever, people are very fashionable, and therefore they have the most fashionable lines being sold there. It may be a small store, but the most fashionable lines are being sold there. Shopper orientation. What is a shopper type? Are you a convenience shopper, price bargain, store loyal shopper? What kind of a shopper are you? Search intensity. What kind of search? We talked about search intensity before in another lecture. Value orientation. What kind of shopper are you? Price conscious, value conscious, quality conscious. Depending on your value orientation, your search intensity, your shopper type, they can segment you. And remember, they have the information on you because you're using your credit card to buy, and they know what your buying thing is. And they have every kind of scanner data, every data they have. They have more data on you than you have on yourself. Now, discriminatory pricing practices, we talked about it, and I wanted to tell you, and I did say that I was going to talk about discriminatory pricing practices in this micro-marketing lecture. Retailers, we know, normally offer a standard price that applies for every customer, right? So every customer has the same price and has a standardized price. However, different consumers might have a different willingness to pay, so there might be a profit gain from charging different prices to different customers. Now, question is, how can retailers charge different prices to different customers? Yeah, how can they do that? They're supposed to charge that one price. That is a ticket price, right? And you go to the counter and pay that price. Answer of how they can charge different prices is through price discrimination, okay? Retailers can overtly or subtly charge different consumers different prices through 4 types of price discrimination, okay? Let's look at these 4 types of price discrimination. Individual pricing. First degree price discrimination. We talked about haggling. Haggling, individual one-on-one negotiation to determine prices. Example, in bazaars. Like you said, you kind of do this haggling abroad. Somebody might buy something for like 100 euros, while you might have managed to buy it for 20 euros because you haggled the life out of the person who was selling the stuff, right? So that is first degree. Then there is personalized pricing, targeted prices to individuals based on perceived willingness, ability to pay, personalized vouchers and coupons. Personalized pricing can also happen with insurance. Okay, your car insurance, your house insurance and stuff like that. You may actually negotiate with the person doing the insurance. You may give different reasoning for why you want a lower price or whatever it may be. And you might get a price which is lower than, say, a price I get because I did not say anything. They gave me a price and I said, thank you very much. Okay, so how to haggle guide. Actually, if anything you've learned from this, you may perhaps just have a look at this one, how to haggle guide. For your next holiday, try it. And if you're successful, drop me an email. Say, oh, Ratula, actually, I followed the tips that and it really helped. Quantity size discounts is second degree price discrimination, okay, where retailers separate consumers by their willingness to buy more. Example, families versus single households. Now, see, many of you are singles, I would imagine, right? You're living on your own, you're buying just for yourself. So when you, at the moment, actually 3 for 2 and all that stuff has gone down in the market substantially because retailers, have been asked and they have taken a concerted decision to reduce it significantly, which is a good thing. Because individual households, individuals who are living on their own and stuff, and they are faced with 3 for 2 and things like that, where the price is actually, the 3 for 2 is so much better than when you're buying just one of those items. Now, many people, if you're living on your own, you don't want to buy 3 for 2 because you really don't want to have the same thing 3 nights in a row or something, right? So you want to buy just one, but you're having to price more for that. You're having to pay more for that. So those kind of things, it is quantity size discounts are called second degree price discrimination, okay? So discounts for larger pack sizes, example, £2 for 100 gram, £3 for 200 gram. And again, people in having larger families and stuff like that seem to have an advantage over single households. Frequent purchaser discounts, example, loyalty discounts. So these are second degree. Consumer group type discrimination, third degree price discrimination, charge different prices to different groups of people. For instance, zone pricing, adjusting price based on store location. We know that, right? In terms of the supermarkets, depends on the format of the stores. If it's supermarkets or if it is a store in the middle of the city, there are price differentials there, right? Consumer type difference discrimination by age, status, or gender price discrimination. You have, for instance, student discounts, don't you? Many of you will take advantage of student discounts. Consumer purchasing behavior, example, discounts for using loyalty cards. And many of you will also have, student discount cards where you say you go to a pub or you go to some stores, you get a discount. So that's another kind of discount. Now, the fourth discrimination is a time-based discrimination. Peak load pricing, it's also called, okay? Where you're charging different prices for different time periods of the day, month, or year. Peak load pricing, for instance, say you're traveling by train. You know, there are peak times of the day where the price is full, right? You pay a high price for using those times. But if you go at off-peak times, you're paying a much more discounted price, a much lower price, yeah? Similarly, if you go to pubs and restaurants, you may have happy hours which are at 5 o'clock in the evening, which is great because they are trying to sweat their assets. It is lying empty. So if they can price it lower during happy hours, say they're providing you 2 cocktails for one, then people will come, right? And the hope is you go at 5 o'clock to have the 2 for 1, and then you sit there, you stay there for the rest of the evening. You're spending a lot of money. The peak load pricing and all of that actually help a lot. The train tickets, all that kind of stuff. Early bird pricing, discount prices for early buyers. So if you want to go abroad or something, it's in 5 months' time or 4 months' time, you buy the ticket now in the budget airlines, you will get a very good price. But the closer it is to the date you're flying, the price gets higher and higher. So you see, there are different discriminatory pricing practices, first, second, third degree, and the fourth. Okay? I'm going to take a few more minutes. Okay, so it will be So targeted pricing examples. Now these I would like you to have a look at. Maybe you've had lunch, maybe you've not, but these are interesting ones from the United States. Okay, facial scanning technology to target advertising, loyalty cards to help retailers target consumers with personalized offers, which you may have experienced yourself, so you may not have to want to watch it. But retailers adopt dynamic pricing. Watch that. Okay, what is dynamic pricing? Exploiting the tourists in Rome. This is a very, very interesting one where two guys and two ladies paid £54 for 4 ice creams. On what basis does this kind of pricing happen? Okay, very interesting that is. And yeah, this is just for your own thoughts actually. Is it fair that different consumers can be charged different prices for the same good? As a student, when does price discrimination work in your favor? Does this affect your purchasing behavior? In fact, if I had to ask you this question quickly, does it affect your purchasing behavior, guys? That fact that you get a student discount? Do you tend to be more impulsive in your shopping because you get a discount? And because you know this is not for long that you'll get a discount? Do tell, okay? It'll be interesting to know. Other micro-marketing practices, there are different types. Multiple chain store retailers can adjust their offer across their store network to appeal specifically to the characteristics of the local population. We've talked about it before as well, right? That if a particular area has a large Jewish community, then naturally supermarkets and chain store retailers or even clothing retailers perhaps might want to sell certain products which appeal to that particular community, or say a huge Muslim community or a community from certain parts of the world, not with any religious, of any particular religion, but maybe of a particular ethnicity, which might where the appeal might be for certain products and services, and therefore they are being catered to. Store level product variation and store level promotion variation, varying local promotion and advertising across stores. So retailers have an entire portfolio of micro-marketing practices. Micro-marketing practices, tactical maneuvers to get you and I to buy. That is the moral of the story. And how do they do it? How do they break it down? How do they break the consumers down? All of those things are the questions. Self-targeting techniques, multiple quality variants and product varieties let consumers select preferred price quality level. Promotional offers aimed at different consumer types, discounts for deal seekers, multi-buys for stockpilers, introductory special offers for experimenters. You know, we talk about how we like to be kept excited by retailers. See, the retailers who have the toughest job in some ways to keep us excited are supermarkets. We have a necessity, of course, we will have to go and buy it. But they want us to go there. They want us to have a good time too while we're buying, because the better we feel, the more we buy, the more the profit they make, right? So they want to have all of these different kind of things going as well. If you are a guy who is a stockpiler, they will have multi-buys for you. Those who like discounts, they will have deal seekers. They will have things which are for people who like to experiment on new things. So all of those things are going on all at the same time with a retailer, always to keep you and I interested. Store layout and product mix, impulse purchase items along with the intended purchase items. So you're keeping things close to each other, right? I want to buy X, but I'm also buying Y because Y is placed quite close to X. And that's an impulse purchase and I'm buying it. You know, I go to buy 2 items in a supermarket, I come out with 10 items. Shelf layout and product displays to show choice. You know, there's the naturally high price items at eye level, budget items below. And then the way the package budget items, the package budget items like Tesco used to do before, white packaging on tins with a blue line and with Tesco. Oh God, red lines and Tesco across it. It was a terrible packaging. I think it was a terrible packaging to put off people buying that, because there are lots of people who do not like to buy that kind of the budget level of products because they don't like to put it on in their trolleys for fear of other people seeing that they're buying the budget labels. But can you see, people should not feel that, right? Because who cares? Who thinks what about your shopping? You don't know this person from Tom. So what's the big deal? But people do. So it's a different things that retailers are constantly playing at, psychological games with us in terms of the adjacencies, in terms of the pricing, in terms of the packaging, in terms of the layering, all of that. And we conveniently fall prey to all of their different practices. And this is just about, yeah, not everybody enjoys shopping and stuff like that. And in terms of the group work, of course, it's all done and dusted now, right? So nothing much to think about that one. And a few further reading out here. And basically, I've just about managed to finish it in 1 hour. So I think the takeaway from this is that it's important that in the current climate, with how we are all faced with, you know, our pockets being perhaps not as fine as it used to be, it is important to be aware. I think you guys are really lucky. Oh my God, I did not have the QR code, did I? You guys are really lucky in that. Now let me just do this, okay? I'll actually email it to you. I'll email it to you along with the things about the coursework that I just mentioned, okay? That you guys are lucky in a way for very many reasons for having done retail. First of all, you guys know a lot about retail now. Retail is a part of life that is constant, right? It's not like HR. HR doesn't affect your life every day. It might affect your life when you go for a job, when you got the job. If you have some issues and problems, then HR might affect you. But otherwise, it doesn't. Accounting, finance doesn't. Retail does. Every step, every day of your life, every time you spend some money, retail is impacting on you. So you guys are now quite knowledgeable about it. And with the micro marketing, it's good to be aware of it at this point in time because your expenses are going to go up. Yeah. Many of you guys, I wonder how your loan system, those of you who've taken loans, how the loans work. Will the banks give you more now because of the situation in the market and stuff? So spend your money carefully. Be aware that the retailers, they are not our friends, okay? Supermarkets are not our friends. They are actually there to line their pockets of the shareholders. They're not lining our pockets. They're barely giving us the goods and services we need. And that too, sometimes supply chain doesn't work so well, and some of the products are really not worth it. So make the most of it, and yeah, enjoy and be careful with the money that you spent, that you will be spending. So I will send you the QR code, which I forgot to put in the slide here, slides, and I will also relay the things you don't need to do or need to do for the coursework. Okay, and next week I will see you in class in in the arts lecture theater. Okay, so goodbye and have a good weekend and enjoy yourselves. Okay, thank you very, very much. And I will stop the recording now.